Good to go. Well, Amy, thanks so much for being willing to do this. And off the camera, we were just talking about the value of these. And I think for a lot of people going through this, I know for both of us, correct me if I'm wrong, going through dizziness, dealing with this stuff can feel very scary, very, very isolating. And one of the things that was super helpful for me was knowing I wasn't alone and seeing some other people that have been through this. And that's something we try to kind of work with in the group, and just trying to extend that to other people can be nice. So I appreciate you being willing to do this. But.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, if you're up for it, I think it's always good to start with the beginning, like just telling people like, what were you going through before we met? What was the situation? What were the symptoms you were dealing with? Just kind of filling us in on the details there.
Yeah. So when this all started for me, I had just been in the hospital for about 10 days. So I was in bed, sort of not moving around too much. When I was in the hospital, I had really severe neck pain. And I think that was just from like maybe positioning of like how I was laying in the bed, or not totally sure, but my neck was hurting for a long time. And then about 2 months later, after getting out of the hospital, so it was kind of like a delayed response for me.
Yeah.
I all of a sudden was just literally dizzy one day. And I figured it would go away in a couple days. I talked to my doctors. They said that you just need to give it some time. I was on some really intense antibiotics, and so I was blaming the antibiotics. Of course, they scheduled me for vestibular testing. Yeah. I did the full rotary chair. It was like 8 hours of testing.
Yeah.
Vestibular testing. Yeah.
Not fun.
Really, yeah, no, really not fun. I was really excited for them to find something. And then all those results came back perfectly fine. Yeah. They said, you have nothing wrong. Yeah. Exactly. And then I heard that I needed to do vestibular physical therapy, where I needed to do all the eye therapy with the stick and the movements. So I immediately started that. I was so dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Was not getting better. In fact, I think I was getting quite a bit worse.
Totally.
Yeah. And then I was seeing a chiropractor. That was making me worse. Massage therapy was making me kind of worse.
Yeah.
And so I was just in this, that's kind of how my journey started. And I was quite miserable.
Incredibly. And I just want to highlight, like, I know there's a lot of people that will resonate with parts of that. And I just kind of bring some of this to the forefront. Like, dizziness can be caused by a lot of different things. And it's very, very common for the vestibular testing to come back normal. And like, if your neck is causing dizziness, none of those tests are going to become positive. Yeah. And unfortunately, then if you send somebody to traditional vestibular rehab, where they're having you shake your head at a target and do these things, or visual stimulation, it's like the exact stuff you wouldn't want to have somebody do. So it often makes you worse. And then if you're out there and you felt like, hey, people touching my neck makes it worse, that's incredibly common for cervicogenic dizziness. So I always recommend people don't have people manipulate their neck, just because it often can make the dizziness worse for some complex reasons. But that is something I see all the time. So appreciate you being willing to share that. Because like you said, at the end of the day, it's incredibly frustrating and scary to be going through those things. But I always just think it's interesting to understand too, like, day-to-day effects on your life at that point. People want to know that they're not alone there too. Like, what were the things that were difficult, like just day-to-day driving or stores or social stuff? Talk to us about that if you're up for it.
Yeah. I mean, everything was difficult, to the point where just being was difficult. Like sitting on the couch doing nothing was hard. Going to a store was like running a marathon. If I went out for the day and like did something, it was like a big deal. I truly, like, my life was fully on pause. I truly could not do anything. I couldn't talk on the phone for a long period of time. That got me going. Sometimes, obviously, it's social things. I didn't go to gatherings. I avoided everything. I bailed on everything with friends.
Which was hard for you. You got a ton of family in there, a ton of stuff going on, and like a big piece of that was kind of taken away for a while. It seemed like,
family functions, didn't go to them. Isolated myself a ton, which also wasn't helpful, because even being home doing nothing didn't make me feel better necessarily. I just didn't know what else to do. I felt very stuck, and I felt very like, this will never go away, and this is the rest of my life. And it just felt like a black hole. And things would trigger it, and like the stores and lights, but like I said, nothing would trigger it. And so it was so frustrating. I couldn't put my finger on one thing or something that made me feel better or worse. Like I couldn't find those things.
Is that the stage where like everything makes it worse? It's bad, and things can make it worse than bad if I go do something.
It's like one of the two.
And I think that's a part of the journey that is incredibly common. Unfortunately, it's like the acute, like what's going on? I'm going to get all the tests and try all the things, and it doesn't work. And then often people, and I know I are in that place of like, well, nothing is helping. Things are making it worse. I can't live my life. Something must be broken or unfixable, or something's wrong with me and it can't change. And I know for me, that was like a very difficult place emotionally, where it's like, I felt like I was on my own to a big degree. So.
For sure. People don't get it. And most people that you're around don't get it. And so that this group was helpful for me in that way, where I had never talked to someone who was dizzy before the way that I was. It's different. People will tell you, oh yeah, I've been dizzy because they had like an ear infection. It's just not the same.
It's not. Yeah, it's difficult when it's like, hey, this is something that's month after month affecting my life, and no one can tell me why. Is a lot different than I was dizzy for a few days, never fun, but it went away and I took some medicine and it's fine. If you're up for it, I think it's interesting, and just to give people a very realistic view is like, what was the process of things changing? Like, what were the changes that happened, and what were some of the things that you were able to kind of stack wins with, or things that got better and then you were able to build on? I think it's nice for people to have a realistic view of like, how do things change over a period of time working on this. But
I mean, I was definitely a non-believer. Like, this cannot change. This will not get better. I found you through a podcast, and it was when you started talking about neck pain. That was the first time I could relate to something. And I was like, oh yeah, that's something that's different for me than in most. And I could never figure out what my neck pain was. Even and even when I was dizzy, I wasn't necessarily even having neck pain anymore. So that was weird too. It's like, well, my neck is actually feeling fine. So that when I heard you talk about neck pain, I immediately found your page, and you laid everything out. We had a call. It all sounded good. I was still very, very skeptical because I've been going through everything. A million doctors in the world could not help me. You're saying in 3 months that I will feel something different? Like I've been doing it for 9 months. So it just, but you're desperate and you're like, give me anything. But I would say that like, you and I started, and it was very simple. It was like, stand against a wall. And it didn't feel right. It felt like, okay, there's no way this is doing anything.
100%. Yes. Which is what 99% of people tell me the first week. I'm like,
I'm sure
you gotta trust me. Like, this is the path forward. We got to do it. But that's incredibly common, by the way.
Yes, exactly. You got to stick with it. But I would say that, like, funny enough, when I met you and you told me to stop going to the chiropractor and stop getting massages, I will say that alone helped me a ton. So like, even like checking in with people's daily lives and telling them things that they're doing that they think are helping, that if they just stopped, they would actually start to feel better. That's something that you really helped me with right away. And so it's kind of important to just touch base with you and have you kind of analyze what they're doing, because there's some real easy fixes right away. And then slowly, I started to do the eye movements, which I thought were going to be triggering. They were not triggering. They were very easy. Everything was really easy that we did, which is why I felt like it couldn't work. And then over time, because consistency and time to me are what I think helped the most. We slowly, for me, it was like it was like 3 months and 2 weeks, I think, was my point where I was like feeling very different. Going into a store was like totally fine. I went by myself. I was driving again. I was doing a lot just in a little over 3 months.
And I think it's important to note 2 things. I'll come back to the neck pain and dizziness thing, but is it fair to say that like getting to a point where you were going to a store by yourself and feeling completely fine was something that we staged and built on, of like, hey, do it with somebody, do it in a different mind, like, and tried to help. I think that's important if you're hearing this. Like, it doesn't go from this is terrible to this is amazing. It's a process that you work through.
That is very true. There were many times where you and I planned, okay, tomorrow you're going to go to the store and just get one thing.
Yeah, totally.
And so I would walk in, I would get one thing and leave. And then the next week I would go in to a busier store and get like two things. So yeah, it took many trial and error, many times of going into a store, going into different types of stores, getting different types of things. The process was definitely part of it. Yeah, you're right. I didn't just walk into a store and I was fine one day. It took
I just wanted to note that mainly because I think you described that feeling originally of like, this is too easy. I spent a year trying to help myself by making myself feel miserable. And the idea that if I feel terrible, it's got to be doing something.
Yep.
And the reason that we need to structure things in that way is for a lot of reasons, but in a foundational sense is that when you are symptomatic and you make it worse, you're engaging this fear response in your brain, and thinking that you're going to make your brain feel more comfortable if it feels panicked is just not realistic. So like you described, hey, can we give you enough tools and work on stuff enough to where going into a calm store and getting one item goes well and your brain goes, cool, this is okay, and I can build confidence. And so just to put some like framing on that, that's a foundational thing that I think needs to happen. So if you're watching this, like, be gentle to yourself. Making yourself feel miserable is tempting, but it's not effective, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally. You like trick your brain, like, this is totally fine, stores are safe. And we definitely got to that point where you emotionally feel like you can do it, and you do gain this confidence, which was it's all swept from you when you're dizzy. So it is, you are able to regain it step by step.
Last thing I wanted to ask you, because I have so many people ask me this when it's like in the lowest moments, it's like, do you actually think I can get back to working and traveling and going places and doing things? And I know when we were on the call before I started recording, you were like, oh, I just flew to my honeymoon and things. And just if you're able to talk about that, I mean, I think it's just incredibly hard to see that end goal when you first are in that stage. But,
it is literally impossible to see it. And it's like you will be looking at a black hole. Meeting people in this group will definitely help with that, because you finally are around people who get it, and it makes you really, really hopeful. And that gives your brain like an automatic switch of like, oh, there is another side to this. There's life after being dizzy. And it's so hard to see that. But I promise there is. I'm back to work. I'm back to traveling. I'm back to all the things. I got married. I had a 200-person wedding, which I would never walk into a room with more than 2 people a year ago. And I felt really great at my wedding and talked to everybody. And we went on a honeymoon, and I never thought I would get married. And my boyfriend and I at the time, we were just dating, and I thought, well, this is never going to happen, because I could never, how are we ever going to get married and live life and like do things we want to do? It just, that was not in the cards anymore. So the fact I'm a year later married is crazy.
That's exciting. I know we hadn't talked since January, so it's catching me up on all the updates here. That's exciting stuff. But I mean, if you're watching that, I think I would have been in that state too. I was like, it feels like the bridge between where I am now and what I feel like is normal and where I want to be is so big that it feels impossible. And it is possible. It's not going to happen by me waving my hands over the webcam or snapping my fingers, but it's something that can happen through a series of days. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this. And it obviously is super helpful for everybody else. So I'll say a thank you for everybody else too. Any other stuff you want to say? I don't want to keep you late, so I know we got to get wrapped up here.
No, I just talking to you is really inspiring, and I would encourage anybody to just hear your story, because your story got me through all my lowest points, and it's really, really encouraging. And I could not have been at a lower point, and I now could not be at a higher point. So I just super encourage everybody to that there is another side, and it's step by step, and it happens.
Totally. I think that's a really good way to end it. And like, there is another side is something that I needed to hear. And I promise you that if you're watching this, that's
how many times I begged you to tell me that? Like every time I'm like, am I okay? Yes, you're okay. And you just need to keep asking the questions and be reassured. And yeah, that's what I needed like a lot.
So you're not alone. I do that. That's a big part of what I can offer. So, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And yeah, it was great to see you too. So
yeah, so good to see you too.
Okay.